First of all, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your day to come see us at noon. We've got two big dogs today. Chris McCarty, president of KREIA Flippin' Loans. Flippin' Loans is super cool because they do commercial loans, which none of the other hard money lenders do. And then Harry Borders, the biggest dog in the city when it comes to investing in real estate, title attorney. He's going to be a big draw, and he's been a great voice in this time when no one knows what's going on. First of all, I want to say that none of these opinions are representative of KREIA. They're strictly our own. And we're going to start with, let's start with Chris. Chris, how are you doing? What are your thoughts? Tell us what you think.
Hey, Rob, thanks. I don't profess to have the answer. I don't know that the answer exists out there right now. These are definitely trying different times. It's changing day by day. A message that I might have had a week ago is different from the message that I would have today. Things just, again, keep changing. I'm not going to say I don't want to be gloom and doom that they're getting worse, even though they may be, but we just don't know. We've never been through anything like this before. My advice to myself is to not panic, hold tight. I'm going to proceed with managing my business carefully. I'm going to be mindful of everyone is in this together. No one is alone in this. We are all going to struggle one way or another. We as landlords in this capacity that I'm speaking now, we're going to have to accommodate where necessary. We're going to have to work with people. We're going to have to be tough where we need to be tough and compassionate where we need to be compassionate. Everybody is going to struggle through this. We have to be mindful that the government cannot just fix all this. The government is taking steps. They do have a printing press, which I find to be reassuring because I think it's going to take a printing press to prop up our economy. Again, just be mindful of everyone's needs, be mindful of heavy-handed tactics. Millions of individual decisions out there are going to solve this problem, and we can't all just expect someone else to do it. Strongest economy in the world. Nobody steps up to the plate like America steps up. I just want to say I'm thankful to the people that are out there on the front lines, medical professionals. I mean, just imagine. We are all being given the advice to shelter in place, stay away from everybody. They have to run into the fire every day, and they come home with their family and their loved ones, and they have to be mindful that they have to get up and do it again tomorrow. Grocery clerks are now first responders. People will keep a smile on their face and keep order in the grocery stores. So again, just crazy, challenging times. There's my opening mantra.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Harry Borders, what are your thoughts, comments, and concerns?
So we're getting an awful lot of calls from buyers.
Can you restart maybe?
Can you hear me okay, Rob?
Yeah. Now you sound good. Sorry about that.
All right. So, the market is there. No question about it. I'm getting calls every day and every night from buyers and realtors who want out of deals. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, our contingent upon not having a pandemic. So we're having a lot of folks that are having to make decisions as to whether it's better for them to break a contract or to move into a nice bigger house. I can't afford it. So it's really, really tough.
Are banks able to call the loan right now? Be able to bail out loans based on income changing?
Absolutely, for sure. But nobody really knows whether they're going to have their job. I can have it. So today, but they are about making a purchase to find out 2 weeks down the road they've lost their job.
Yeah.
And everybody's nervous.
Yeah. I thought I was going to get a call today, but they were just talking about HVAC. I thought they were going to try to push back closing at least, but it was okay. Harry, you are still breaking out a little bit. I don't know why, but we'll we're starting to get some good questions though. I'm gonna do a short one first. Actually, Harry, could you update us on what you do know from the governor about being essential personnel and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I called the governor's office this morning. I've called him again.
Wait, Harry, you have a direct line to the governor?
No, I do not. But they've got a hotline, and they can the right people. And as of right now, title companies are essential. Realtors are essential. Insurance companies, home inspectors, appraisers, we're all essential, which means that we are not shut down. So we're still doing business. It's wanky. It doesn't look the same as it normally does, but we're still doing business, and business is fairly brisk.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a huge slowdown on my end. Could you tell us more about what you were mentioning with the Oklahoma, with the wholesaling?
Yeah, so Oklahoma House, it's not in law yet, but the Oklahoma has passed a bill that effectively prohibits anybody marketing equitable interest in real estate. Translation, they are on the verge of not allowing wholesalers at all in Oklahoma.
Is that a reaction to current circumstances, Harry, or is that just something that was working its way through the legislature?
No, it was just working its way through the legislature, and it's finally gotten to the point that it's passed. And the name of it is, I can't remember the name of the act, but it's something like all wholesalers are horrible, rotten people act. I mean, it's almost as bad. So if it becomes, and Illinois, of course, has already passed it all. So if that becomes a trend, wholesaling is going to look a whole lot different. Got a bunch of wholesalers that are very nervous at this point, and they're thinking that it may be time for them to get the real estate license, because then they still participate in wholesale deals. So don't know what's going to happen in Kentucky, but that looks like that.
But that's a quick fix to a wholesaler, isn't it? I mean, that solves the problem.
Yep.
Or just buying and closing on the property as well. So I'm guessing more products like that from hard money lenders, et cetera.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But as you all know, a lot of wholesalers start off with very little money, so they don't have the ability to either go for a single loan or certainly not to pay cash for it.
Well, and you've got that barrier of entry with real estate too, or financially. I mean, you're going to be out 3 or 4K in the beginning. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. It might be a different way to leverage realtors and having them act on their behalf as the wholesaling. I don't know. It's really great though, and you got to protect yourself. Chuck Burke has a good question for you guys. I've got a HELOC on my personal residence with a chunk of money available. Wife is now out of work, so is tempted to call the big national bank and tell them I'd like to get some sort of deferment on mortgage payments for our residence. The question is, do you think that would endanger his HELOC? Should I take the money out of the HELOC before contacting them about deferring mortgage?
Yes.
These are restricted our opinions. We're not lawyers or anything. Cool. For the record, keep going.
Can I read something that came across my desk today? Margaret actually tracked this down. And this is a frequently asked question directed from the federal government to the banking institutions that answers this question. And the first thing on the list was payment accommodations. So would it be acceptable? This is the government is providing questions and answers to the bankers are commonly making. And this is from the FDIC. Payment accommodations. Would it be acceptable for a bank to offer borrowers affected by COVID-19 payment accommodations, such as allowing borrowers to defer or skip some payments or extending the payment due? And the answer from the government is the FDIC encourages financial institutions to provide borrowers affected in a variety of ways by the COVID-19 outbreak with payment accommodations that facilitate their ability to work through the immediate impact of the virus. Such assistance provided in a prudent manner to borrowers facing short-term setbacks. So basically, they're giving the bankers guidelines, and I'm assuming if a bank is part of the FDIC, which all banks are, they're going to have to be part of this solution of accommodating borrowers. And so the government is giving these banks some criteria to follow now as all these people, such as the question here that was just asked, what should I do? And these things are already in place where the government is going to be providing these answers to these questions.
So, Chris, is it possible you could send that to Lauren and when we get the link done,
Already done.
and we'll send it out? Oh yeah.
It'll be posted, and I just frequently ask questions that, again, this is at the banking level with the FDIC on how they're handling business. So that'll be on the KREIA website later.
Much obliged. That's why you're the big dog. Okay, I'm reading everything verbatim if I can.
Rob, here.
Yeah.
So local lenders are already active. Local lenders are already most agreeing to either interest only or deferred payments until it goes away. So we're getting a good response so far from our lenders.
And is that, or what are you saying? It's 3 months on most of those lenders, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. I'm glad people are kind of looking, but it's all ripple effects, right? You know, it's going to go work its way up until government does something for the banks. Okay, next question is from Kim. I have a question. There's an influx of signs for sale by owner. Should I even consider them being, it could be out of desperation? Like, should they reach out to for sale by owners?
I would before it gets too bad.
Yeah, I mean, if they're trying to sell their house and they're advertising it, I think you should reach out for sure. Why not? You know, I don't think there's anything unethical about it if they're trying to sell their own houses. All right, Joe Worth has a question for you, Chris. How is the current situation affecting hard money lenders?
It is extremely fluid, and personally, I'm just taking it on a case-by-case basis and being very, very careful and cautious. We don't know where all this is going to settle out. We don't know where values are ultimately going to wind up. The stock market's lost 30% of its value so far this week. And again, it's a moving target. We don't know. But obviously, we're going to be very, very careful moving forward. And things like, skin in the game, is there other secondary financing? All of the borrower's experience, all of those things are going to play into this.
Yeah. Okay, Harry, you already covered this a little bit, but Santosh is saying, Harry, are your services still considered non-essential? Will you still be closing? Just touch on it real quick.
Yes, we are considered to be part of the financial market, which means that anybody that services financial institutions would be considered essential. Appraisers, home inspectors, realtors, insurance salesmen, they're all considered essential at this point.
Yeah.
And for worth, so far, lenders are not telling us that they're having any issues with appraisal. In other words, values are not dropping like the stock market values have dropped.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the appraisals aren't coming in quick enough to even reflect it. You know, they got to go by the previous 3 sales or whatever. Going to say something?
It will take time. I mean, obviously the stock market can plunge in a day. Real estate values are going to take time, and those are going to be based upon sales. What other means do we have to value real estate is based upon other sales, and we don't have that yet. So it will take some time for that to flush out. Maybe they won't change. Maybe they will. None of us know that for sure right now.
Well, and we are going into the hot season, so I think there's going to be some offset sort of too, and interest rates are so low. Ryan Gettelfinger, big wholesaler flipper guy out of Indiana, is asking, do we see the market dropping in price and inventory ramping up if this lasts 3, 6, and 9 months?
Personally, I'll take this one. I have to believe that we are going to feel the results of this. I mean, the unemployment is going to increase. There's going to be a ripple effect throughout the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Those that are most impacted are going to feel it. They're not going to be in a position to buy houses. So demand and supply are going to change from what we have been used to. I mean, common sense tells me that. I'm not predicting anything. Harry is the licensed professional. I'm just one man with an opinion. So I'm just offering my opinion that common sense says that the demand and supply dynamic is going to reverse itself here for the short term, which will affect prices.
I would agree with Chris, but I think it's a short-term problem.
Chris and I were on earlier, and there's 2,205 single-family homes available. Of that availability, 1,075 of those properties are 300K and above. So we're seeing a major standstill, 300K up on single family homes. And then it seems like the regular market below 300 is still moving pretty well. And when I started real estate 6 years ago, there was 5,400 properties, single family homes on the market. And in 2008, we had a surplus of inventory and we had all those builders. And we've since lost a lot of those builders. So I think slow to rise, slow to fall, like a turtle, we're very insulated relative to the East and West Coast, personally.
So if half of those properties, Rob, are above 300,000, what is the current median, which would be half above and half below price target in our market right now?
Well, let me see how many homes we have under 150. Single family.
Is that about where the median is right now, 150?
I mean, it's probably a little higher. It's probably like 180. We've got 507 single family homes. So 1/4 of all of our single family homes are under 150. And if we did the actual median, I would say 180. It goes up to 662. So, which is like about 1/4, still a little bit, 1/5 maybe. I don't know this. I have no idea. So, I mean, I just think we're going to be, the low inventory might actually save all the values, which is really great. Okay, so Jason West, he is talking about assignable contracts. When Harry says wholesaling will not be allowed in Oklahoma, he's talking about assignable contracts. Correct. Joe Worth is asking, can wholesalers still double close in Oklahoma?
As of today, yes. But if this bill, if the problem is that the bill prohibits you from advertising for sale in an assignable interest. If you have an equitable interest or an assignable interest, you cannot advertise for it.
Some guy named Frank Miller is asking both the panelists, have you seen investor loans slowing down, or as of now, do you still see a lot of investor closings?
Harry, you can take that one first.
No, we're not seeing any slowdown at all in them as of right now, but we're always 2 or 3 weeks behind what the market's actually doing. So what happened 2 or 3 weeks ago, we're getting ready to close now. What's happening today in the market is probably vastly different than it was 2 or 3 weeks ago when the title orders for these loans came in.
This question is for Harry. I mean, when you get a title order on a sale, they don't always close. So do you track that as a percentage? Are you seeing that percentage of transactions that don't close for whatever reason go up above normal in these transactions that you're working on from 2 or 3 weeks ago?
No, so far they're still holding pretty strong. But again, I'm getting call after call after call from buyers and sellers, both that want out. So I anticipate our capture rate of what we run titles on and what closes, it certainly will drop, at least in the short term.
Okay. Well, from our perspective as a lender, we're just seeing a bunch in the queue for closing right now, but a little concerned, as Harry says, some of those won't close. We don't have enough volume like what Harry has to really weigh in on that right now. Our calls have stopped or dropped off substantially, so I think there's less demand in the marketplace for our services.
You got to think we're kind of insulated, though, because when it's a bad time to sell, it's a great time to buy. So it seems like it's just going to shift one way, and then it's going to come back in, I think, to where we are now. But I mean, I think we'll see an influx, but we're probably either 4 months out until we're actually seeing property values dipping enough to take advantage of the market. Personally, that's my opinion.
A couple comments there on that is, I think everybody is sort of stepping back, pausing, thinking through their own circumstances and what they need to be doing and what their likelihood of success is. On that note, every day I look at what's the news. I just Google news in China, Google news in Hong Kong, and we're starting to see, I saw an article yesterday or the day before where traffic jams are resuming in Hong Kong. So people, very dense populations there. Things are starting to get back to normal. Factories are opening up. I saw where Apple opened up its 43 stores in China after having closed them. At the same time, it closed the rest of its stores worldwide. So again, I think I got that right in reading it. So it sounds like they are through it over there. Now there may be reoccurrences of it, and this whole idea worldwide, everybody trying to flatten the curve, what all that looks like and stay in place. I just got a text a minute ago that the Indiana governor has basically shut down things as well now, following the lead. Here's what the text. Governor of Indiana just issued stay-at-home order. So probably something very similar to what the Kentucky governor has just done. Ramble there.
I think it's really cool that you're tracking Japan, because I hadn't thought about doing that. Did they do anything with their government? Like, are they doing similar stimulus packages and whatnot, or how are they addressing it?
I think they are. I haven't really studied it, but I just think that's that right now is the answer. Again, what I alluded to earlier, the printing press, we're talking about, and these are just numbers that bounce around in my head. They're talking about $1 trillion stimulus, and that is not even finished yet. Mm-hmm. The kitchen sink is going to go into that stimulus relief. It will probably be the beginning of more government bailouts. I don't know how we can get through this without the government, but again, the government can't solve everything, mm-hmm. but certainly propping up and assisting behavior through government intervention, through stimulus packages, is going to go a long way towards working through this. I don't know what China's done, and I haven't really paid attention to it, but I know that's what the government intends to do, will do, and will be a big help to getting everybody through this.
Todd Johnson, a local mortgage lender, said, I haven't been able to click on the link yet, but he said, big improvement in rates today. Several big announcements just came out, and he posted a link. So if you want to click on the link in the chat, you can check it out. A friend of Mike Krupa, happy birthday. I think your birthday was yesterday or today, so happy birthday. A friend of mine is a general manager of a factory in Ningbo, China. He told me today that they've restarted production there. Josh Hardy has a question. Any thoughts on the rental market and how this will affect, if any? I don't see rents going up. However, do you think they'll go down or stay the same?
I would have to think that the rental market will be stable once we get through this. Some people are not going to be able to pay their rent if they're a part of the affected economy. But at the end of the day, just like in 2008, the rental market, in my opinion, will be very stable, just like it was in 2008.
Yes, I agree with Chris. However, the next couple of months getting through this are going to be for tenants, and it's going to be tough for landlords, because we're getting those phone calls from tenants as well. We're getting phone calls from the landlords. What's the right answer when a tenant calls in and says, I can't make my payment? What do you do? It's a really tough situation, and I'm dealing with it on a case-by-case basis, trying to figure out, are they just doing this to try to get something for nothing, or do they really have some financial woes that they're dealing with? But it's going to be tough for landlords and tenants for the next couple of months.
We've not had as many as I thought we would have people calling in, but we've had half a dozen or so. And I think that, again, part of it appears to be people that have been directly impacted, that have lost their jobs and they're on unemployment. They're waiting for their first checks. And that's what we're going to do, is sort of, be mindful of, we want to hear the story. We want to know what the circumstances are, why you can't pay. And if you can, and we understand it, but, there's really no alternative but to work with people. I think this is just part of the role that the landlords have to pay. We expect the banks to work with us. In turn, we're going to have to work with people that can't pay their rents.
Concur for sure. Just want to reiterate what the National REIA call said, and this was in our last chat as well, but your properties are not your assets. Your tenants are your assets. Maintain and build relationships with your tenants. Be human. And then if you want to look, Joanna did a nice post on that on Instagram as well. Jessica, you had one of my favorite realtors, kills it. She said, I think Chinese people just kind of lived off savings. Chinese people stash cash like it's nobody's business, and many are multi-generational homes, so it makes it easier to quarantine and save, much different than the West. Santosh is saying 2.875 for a conventional 30-year fixed rate with South Central Bank right now. which is crazy. Frank Miller has another question. Both panelists, what advice would you give to newer investors to weather the storm in investing in real estate? Buy, store cash, try to sell?
Again, if you have the wherewithal to buy, and you don't have to live off the rental income, or you don't have to borrow all the money, I think cash is going to be king. Use it wisely, carefully. Don't part with it until you have a backup plan for living without that cash. But I think there'll be opportunities for sure. Be careful. Watch out for debt. Watch out for leverage. There are going to be people that can't pay the rent, and we are all sitting here predicting what the near future is going to be, and we really can't even say for sure what the near future is going to be. Other than
how can you give us an idea of on how you suggest people not over leverage?
I don't know if I would say hoard cash, but hold on to your cash. There will come a time, or there may still come a time, it could get worse. I mean, we all need to pay our bills. I think there's going to be relief in the system for people that can't pay their bills, whether that's a resident paying rent or a landlord making a mortgage payment. But just be careful. I mean, if you've got cash, hang on to it. Be careful. My advice would be to let this thing sort itself out a little bit before you go running off, making offers on something because you think today it's a good deal.
Mm-hmm. Harry?
I agree.
Agreed. Be smart with your money. And we talked about earlier, we don't think the ripples are going to happen immediately. So you can try to take advantage of uncertainty in the market, but I think if you wait 4 months, you might get a little bit more return. Justin Howe, that was a question for Santosh. We're all in the chat. Michael Forrest, does anyone have current rental openings? Are there people still applying and looking right now? I'm about to list a couple for rent.
We have a few available right now. It's slowed down for sure. I might not be a good example. I'd be curious to know what some of the big apartment complexes that were already at 80%, or some of the big ones that are just coming onto the market that have a lot of vacancies. They're going to be struggling. I would say, just like every other facet of this, people are going to be slow to make decisions about their future, and if that they're not going to be moving around or changing, they're going to stay put. So there's going to be a certain percentage of people that are in need of housing, but a lot of people are not going to be moving around just for the sake of upgrading, if you will, right now.
We don't have vacancies.
Harry, I know you made a dive into Airbnb. How are you handling those properties right now? Are you doing business as usual, waiting to see? I mean, it's very lucrative, so maybe worth waiting. What would you recommend?
If you're thinking about doing Airbnb right now, do not. That's my recommendation. Every one of our residents have been canceled for the next 2 months, and that was a significant amount of income coming in, and it's gone. I believe that it will swing back very quickly once this stuff goes away, but right now is absolutely the wrong time to open up an Airbnb.
Would you if you could find commercially zoned Airbnbs, would you try to buy them right now?
No, I don't think. I'm just hunkered down and waiting to see what happens. I need to make sure that my cash reserve is there to cover mortgage payments in the event that we start having greater fallout of tenants. Right now, we're getting a couple calls from tenants, but so far we're doing okay.
Yeah. So Beverly is saying, if we were going to accommodate our tenants, can we ask for their stimulus check?
I think that's a great question. That should be the first question the landlord asks when somebody is asking for forgiveness is, did they get a stimulus check? What are they going to do with it? And how come they're not paying their rent? Again, I just think we have to be mindful of everybody's circumstances, but my way of thinking would be that if I were receiving a stimulus check, that would be for basic essentials, and rent would be a basic essential.
Yeah. Question for Harry from Ryan Gettelfinger. I don't think he's talking about residential. We have a residential addendum for Louisville, but is there anything the wholesalers should be putting in their wholesale contracts?
You know, it's a tricky situation because if buyers and sellers really do start slowing down, we've got drama when we've got somebody under contract and now it suddenly doesn't perform. If your contracts are drafted the way they should be, then you're not going to run the risk of losing a lot of money if your wholesale deal falls apart. You won't make the money from your wholesale deal, but you should never lose money from your wholesale deal except for your $100 deposit, which is what we recommend that you put in.
Harry, do you see with all this going on that we'll see something added to the GLAR contract for pandemics after this year?
You know, there's a lot of language out there, and I haven't found any of it that I like at this point because all of it seems to me to give either side the right to say, hold on, I'm scared, I don't want to go through with this. I don't think that's what I've been recommending is that we stretch our contracts out to at least a 60-day close, because if time is not of the essence, which it's not in our GLAR contract as it relates to the closing time, a 60-day contract automatically gets extended by about 3 more weeks. So, you know, we've kicked that can pretty far down the road. And by then, I expect that we're going to have some relief from this stuff and we're going to be moving forward again with business. So I don't like the language that I'm saying. I like a 60-day time period. Todd Johnson probably doesn't like me saying that because he doesn't want to have to lock them in that long. And of course, my rate's not going to be as good on a 60-day as it is a 30-day, but that's a risk that I'm willing to take.
That's a good question. Michael Forrest thinks it's pertinent to let everyone know that Bashir has waived the waiting period for unemployment. So it might be good to suggest to your tenants to apply for unemployment if they qualify. Joe Coffey asks, do you know if there's any HELOCs available that are non-callable?
Say that again.
Are there any HELOCs available that the bank can't call the loan or turn it?
Not that I'm aware of.
Now, from my understanding, if you have HELOCs or line of credits on a property and you have it out and in use, they can't call it if it's in use. So would you recommend taking 100 out on some of your HELOCs and line of credits? Just a small amount?
Yes, right now. There's not a whole lot of harm in doing that.
Yeah. Let's see. Pete Christensen said, what similarities, we did actually cover this. What similarities and differences do you see in the market shift in 2008? And he does have a good question though. What opportunities do you see right now in this market?
My response would,
desperate.
Go ahead, Harry, sorry.
The seller that's got to sell is more desperate than they would have been a month ago.
Yeah.
There will be opportunities for sure, but just again, be mindful of parting with your cash or making sure you have good financing in place.
Do you think this could slow down wholesaling a little bit because people's foreclosures and evictions and all that stuff is getting pushed back, where now maybe the urgency won't be there as much?
Most of the people that are the A's in an A, B, B, C wholesale deal, most of them are not that far along in their foreclosure process. So I think we're still going to see motivated sellers are still going to be motivated sellers.
You're not wrong. And I literally have, like Andrew Schlag, we've been writing lowball offers on a lot of things, and they're coming back to us after 4 weeks. So, I mean, it doesn't hurt to just throw out some offers. You always have the financing contingency and the inspection contingency, and just see if they come back right at the offer for 3 months with your realtor. I mean, you're taking a risk there, but you still have your outs the other 2 ways. But it's not a bad play, and it shows that you're being considerate and letting them come to you instead of, you just kind of coming at them. Nietzsche is asking, are private lenders requiring more skin in the game, i.e. 15, 20% down? Have you changed your terms at all, Chris?
Yes, we have. I mean, we're just taking every deal on a case-by-case basis, and the world's different right now. I mean, everybody has to be mindful of that, and private lenders are no different. We're just trying to be careful and mindful of the deal, mindful of the borrower, and taking appropriate cautions.
Yeah, that seems pertinent. I think, and you're not changing any deals you have out. You're still keeping
No, everything on the table is set to close is going to close.
John D. I have not read this. Hold on. I'm of course. Okay, so John D. saying, I am of course a landlord, and we also run investor-focused roofing and remodeling business. Do you believe investors should be halting their projects or continue expecting increased renters? Good question.
Harry?
I'm not spending a lot of money on things that I can wait another 3 or 4 months for.
Mm-hmm.
Cash is king. Be careful with what your projects. I mean, if you're halfway through something, ask yourself, do I need to be spending my money on this project, or is there a better use for my cash? I've got a project that I just put on hold. Rather than tie up more cash on it, just put it on hold. Again, that's an individual question.
What's that, Harry?
I did the same thing. Jill and I are in the middle of a big remodel, and we've pulled people away from it until we can get a little bit further down the road with this.
That Frank Miller guy, former president of KREIA, he's board member, Believe Investments, kills it. He just bought a new house, and he is not doing the basement now. And we all saw him make $115,000 on his most recent BRRRR. So if he's being tight with this money, we should all be pretty pragmatic. Maybe get Chipotle twice a week instead of every day. Let's see. Well, guys, I don't think we have any more questions. I think this has been insightful. We are having Dennis Earhart and Michelle Ron on Wednesday to talk about the market, evictions, et cetera, et cetera. Dennis has been prepared for this moment his whole life on how to take advantage of the market, so he'd be a great person to ask questions. I want to thank Eric George for editing all this video and Lauren for sending everything out. And we will have this video up probably tomorrow, if I had to guess, whenever Eric can get it done. Thanks again for coming on, guys. You guys are big dogs, very important. We appreciate your time. We'll have more things like this. I do recommend everyone reach out to your neighbors, friends, everything, FaceTime, go have happy hour. Stacey Duvall and I are working on creating a happy hour as well. Just have fun, create reasons to talk and hang out, because everyone's just sitting at home bored. And if you need anything, we're all happy to help. We're at your service. Thank you all for joining us, and have a wonderful day.
Hold on, Rob. One thing here. I want to impart some wisdom that is not mine, but has been around for a long time. And it's a quote, and sometimes I rely on quotes from to explain a situation. This one's from Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and it goes back to the last serious crisis that our country faced. But here are his words. Real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with care, it is about the safest investment in the world. Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1943.
What a send-off. That is a presidential send-off.
Go KREIA. Good luck, everybody out there. Stay safe. Be reasonable. Use good judgment. This will pass. I promise. We all promise.
You're not wrong. Thanks again, Harry. Thanks, Chris. See you guys.
See you guys.